Welcome back. Across our last two courses, we built agentic systems and learned to manage what they cost. Today, we address a failure mode that shows up the moment an agent's task gets genuinely long. Shallow agents breakdown. A shallow agent is the simplest possible architecture. A large language model in a loop calling tools, observing results, repeating. It has no explicit plan, no persistent memory beyond its context window, and no ability to delegate. Research on this pattern found something striking. Task success rates drop by more than 50% once a task exceeds roughly 10 steps. Everything the agent has done lives in one steadily growing context window, and eventually that window either overflows or the model simply loses track of earlier instructions buried under accumulated noise. This single failure mode, call it context collapse, is exactly what a newer architecture called deep agents was built to solve. Today we dissect that architecture in full. Its 4 pillars, the reasoning behind each one, and working Python for every piece. Let's begin with what actually changes. Let's make the shallow versus deep distinction concrete. Because the underlying language model is frequently identical, what changes is the harness wrapped around it. A shallow agent loops through think, call a tool, observe, with no explicit plan tracked anywhere, a single flat context that accumulates everything indiscriminately, and no mechanism for delegating work to anything else. A deep agent adds 4 specific capabilities on top of that same loop. An explicit plan, maintained as a structured, updatable task list rather than an implicit intention buried in the model's reasoning. File system-backed memory that persists outside the conversation. The ability to delegate to subagents running in their own isolated context. And a detailed system prompt that explicitly defines workflow and behavioral expectations rather than a vague one-line role description. None of these 4 capabilities require a more powerful model. They're architectural additions, engineering scaffolding around the same underlying reasoning engine. This is precisely why the distinction matters practically. You can often turn a shallow agent into a deep one without touching the model at all, simply by adding the scaffolding. This architecture rests on exactly 4 pillars, identified by studying what made systems like Claude Code, deep research, and manus so much more capable than a typical tool calling agent. Planning provides an explicit, persisted task list via a lightweight tool, giving the agent structured working memory for long jobs. Subagents provide delegation, the ability to spin off isolated child agents that handle a piece of the task in their own clean context and report back only a distilled result. The file system provides persistent memory that survives far longer than any single context window, serving as a shared workspace the main agent and its subagents can all read and write. The system prompt provides behavioral scaffolding, detailed, explicit instructions about workflow, tool use, and output format, rather than a generic role description. These 4 pillars are not independent add-ons bolted on separately. As we'll see in scene 14, they function together as one coordinated system. Over the next several scenes, we examine each pillar individually in depth with working code for every single one. Planning is implemented through a deceptively simple mechanism. A tool, commonly called write_to-dos, that the agent calls to record and update a structured list of tasks. Here's the detail that surprises people the first time they encounter it. This tool is a no-op with respect to the outside world. It doesn't search the web, doesn't call any API, doesn't take any real action whatsoever. Its entire function is to give the agent a persisted representation of its own intentions, what needs doing, in what order, and what state each item is currently in, pending, in progress, or completed. On screen, a goal decomposes into 4 track tasks. Why does something this simple matter so much? Because in a shallow agent, the plan exists only implicitly, re-derived from scratch by the model's reasoning on every single turn, which is precisely where long tasks start to drift and lose coherence. A written, persisted to-do list means the agent can reread its own stated intentions at every step rather than reconstructing them from memory each time, dramatically improving consistency across long-running work. Here is planning as working code. ToDoPlanner.write_todos takes a list of task descriptions and initializes each one with pending status. This is the exact moment a vague goal becomes a structured, trackable list. Update_status finds a specific task by name and changes its status, exactly mirroring how an agent would call this tool mid-execution to mark progress as work happens. Render formats the current state as a checkmark style list the agent can reread on its next turn, rather than silently trusting its own memory of what it has already done. Running this against 4 research tasks, then marking the first completed and the second in progress, produces exactly this output. A completed checkbox on search, an in-progress marker on extraction, and 2 still pending items for drafting and review. This is genuinely the entire mechanism. There's no hidden complexity here. The apparent simplicity is the point. A no-op tool that persists state turns out to be enough to meaningfully improve an agent's coherence across long, multi-step tasks, without requiring any change to the underlying model at all. Subagents provide the delegation pillar, and the key architectural idea is isolation, not just division of labor. The main agent acts as an orchestrator, and when it identifies a subtask suited for focused, independent handling, it spawns a subagent to own that piece specifically. Critically, each subagent invocation creates an entirely fresh context. It does not inherit the main agent's accumulated conversation history, and it executes autonomously until its subtask is genuinely complete. On screen, 3 specialist subagents, research, coding, review, each receive a task from the main orchestrator and work in their own clean window. The detail that makes this architecturally powerful, shown at the bottom of the diagram, is what returns to the parent. Only the final result, not the subagent's internal reasoning trace, tool calls, or intermediate errors. This means a subagent can burn through an enormous number of exploratory tool calls and false starts internally, and none of that noise ever touches the main agent's context. The parent sees a clean, distilled answer as if the work had simply appeared. Let's implement subagent isolation directly. Subagent.run_isolated constructs a fresh local_context dictionary on every single call. This is the literal mechanism of isolation. Nothing from any prior invocation carries forward, because a brand new dictionary is created each time it runs. The subagent's task function operates entirely within that local scope, appending to its own private trace, and only the function's return value, never the trace itself, becomes the result that eventually escapes this scope. MainAgent.context is deliberately the only thing the parent ever accumulates. Delegate calls run_isolated and appends just a single formatted line to that list. Running this against a research subagent handling agentic AI cost trends produces exactly one line in the main agent's context. A bracketed subagent name followed by its 3 source finding. The subagent's internal trace, the line noting it was searching, exists only inside the now discarded local_context dictionary and never reaches the parent at all. This is precisely the fresh context, distilled result, behavior described in the previous scene, expressed as 15 lines of Python. Let's be explicit about why this isolation matters so much, because it's the single biggest factor separating deep agents from shallow ones on long tasks. Without isolation, every subtask's complete internal trace, every tool call, every intermediate error, every dead end explored piles into one shared, ever-growing context, and this is precisely the context collapse mechanism from scene 1. Eventually the window overflows or relevant instructions get buried and effectively forgotten under accumulated noise. With isolation, each subagent operates in its own clean window, and the parent receives only the distilled, final result. The internal mess of getting there simply never enters the parent's context at all. This is conceptually identical to information hiding in software engineering. A well-designed function exposes a clean interface and hides its internal implementation details from its caller, and a subagent does exactly the same thing for reasoning rather than code. The parent doesn't need to know how the research was conducted, only what was found, and that boundary is what keeps the orchestrating agent's context clean indefinitely. The file system pillar solves a different problem than subagent isolation. Memory that persists far longer than any context window, regardless of whether delegation is even involved. The agent gets 4 fundamental operations. Write_file to persist new content, read_file to retrieve it later, ls to list what currently exists, and edit_file to modify existing content in place. What makes this architecturally significant is that it's explicitly described as pluggable. The same 4-operation interface can be backed by a simple in-memory dictionary for testing, actual local disk for a coding agent, cloud object storage for a distributed team, or a fully sandboxed remote execution environment for untrusted code. And critically, this file system isn't private to the main agent alone. It's a genuinely shared workspace. Subagents can write their findings to files, and the parent agent reads those files back, all through the identical interface regardless of which backend happens to be running underneath. This is precisely how subagent results and long-term memory both flow through one consistent mechanism rather than 2 separate systems. Here is a virtual file system as working code. Virtual file system stores every file as a dictionary entry in the simplified version, deliberately mirroring the real architecture's pluggable backend design, since a production implementation swaps this dictionary for disk, cloud storage, or a sandbox without changing the interface the agent actually calls. Write_file, read_file, edit_file, and ls implement exactly the 4 operations described in the previous scene. Edit_file specifically does a targeted string replacement rather than requiring the agent to rewrite an entire file's content just to change one detail. Running the demo, writing a research note and a to-do file, then editing the to-do to mark an item complete, produces exactly this output. ls correctly lists both files, and reading the to-do file back shows the checkbox has genuinely flipped from unchecked to checked. Because this state lives in a dictionary that exists entirely outside the conversation history, it survives even if the conversation itself gets summarized or compressed away, which is exactly the mechanism we examine next. Context engineering is the discipline that ties planning, subagents, and the file system together into one coherent strategy for handling tasks that would otherwise overflow any context window. Compression summarizes older conversation history once it grows large, preserving the gist of what happened while discarding verbose, now irrelevant detail. Isolation, which we examined in scenes 6 through 8, quarantines heavy subtask work inside subagents so their internal noise never accumulates in the main context. Offloading writes large intermediate results, a lengthy search result, a big generated document, directly to the file system rather than keeping the full text sitting in the conversation indefinitely. Together, these three mechanisms let an agent work on tasks that would exceed a single context window's capacity by an enormous margin, while meaningfully reducing manual context management that a developer would otherwise have to hand-tune themselves. This is genuinely an engineering discipline in its own right, not an incidental side effect. It's precisely what separates agents that gracefully handle hour-long tasks from ones that quietly degrade the moment a conversation grows too long. Let's implement offloading directly. Context manager.add_tool_result is the decision point. It compares the length of an incoming tool result against a threshold, and if the result exceeds it, the full content gets written to a file while only a short pointer summary, noting the file name and original size, enters the conversation instead. If the result is short enough, it's simply appended directly with no offloading needed at all. Running this against two search results, one short, one an artificially large 500-character block, demonstrates the branching clearly. The short result appears verbatim in the rendered context, while the large result triggers a file write and the conversation instead shows only a one-line note that it was saved to search2.md. This is genuinely the mechanism underlying offload large results across long runs from the framework's own description. The conversation's token count stays bounded regardless of how large any individual tool's raw output happens to be, because the raw output lives on disk, permanently out of the prompt's way, not sitting inside it. The system prompt is the fourth pillar, and it's easy to underestimate because it looks like ordinary text rather than executable code, but its role is genuinely architectural. A shallow prompt says something like, "You are a helpful assistant with access to tools," vague, generic, leaving the model to improvise its own approach to planning, delegation, and formatting on every single task. A deep agent system prompt is dramatically more explicit. It defines the agent's role precisely, describes exactly when to invoke the planning tool versus when a task is simple enough to skip it, when delegation to a subagent is warranted versus handling something directly, what output format is expected, and often includes worked examples demonstrating the intended workflow end-to-end. This is precisely why systems like Claude Code run system prompts that are thousands of words long rather than one or two sentences. Genuinely complex, reliable behavior needs explicit scaffolding, the same way a new employee needs a detailed playbook rather than a one-line job title to perform consistently well on unfamiliar, high-stakes tasks. Now let's see all four pillars as one coordinated system rather than four separate, independent tools, because that framing matters enormously for understanding why this architecture works as well as it does. Picture an orchestra. Planning acts as the conductor, setting the tempo and the overall sequence the performance follows. Subagents are the instrument sections, each independently capable, each handling their own part without needing to watch every other section simultaneously. The file system is the shared sheet music, the persistent, common reference every section can read from and write updates to. The system prompt is the score itself, defining the rules and structure the entire performance follows from the very first note. Remove any single pillar and the system doesn't collapse entirely, but it does meaningfully degrade back toward shallow agent behavior. No planning means losing track on long tasks. No subagents means one increasingly bloated context handling everything sequentially. No file system means memory that vanishes the moment a conversation ends. No detailed prompt means inconsistent, improvised behavior. All four genuinely need to work together. Let's trace one complete request through the full deep agent architecture end to end. User input arrives first. The planner immediately calls write_todos, breaking the request into a structured, trackable task list before any real work begins. The agent then executes the first step. This might be a direct tool call, or it might warrant spawning a subagent, shown as a conditional branch in the flow. Results, especially large ones, get written to the file system rather than accumulating directly in the conversation. If a subagent was used, its distilled result flows back and gets read from the file system exactly as we saw in scene 10. This loop of execute then persist repeats across every planned task, updating each to-do status to completed as it finishes. Finally, once every task the plan called for is done, The agent synthesizes everything gathered along the way into one final response for the user. This is the same underlying loop from our original architecture course. Perceive, think, act, observe, but now explicitly instrumented with planning, files, and delegation woven directly into every single step. Time to combine everything into one small, genuinely working deep agent. Minimal deep agent.execute strings together every pillar we've built in this course. Write_todos records an explicit plan for the incoming goal. Run_subagent stands in for a delegated, isolated research step. Write_file persists that subagent's findings outside the conversation. And the final synthesis step deliberately reads from the file rather than reaching into the subagent's internal trace, exactly preserving the isolation boundary established back in Scene 8. Running this against the goal agentic AI deep agent patterns produces a synthesized summary built entirely from the file system stored findings, and printing the final todos list confirms both track tasks correctly show completed status by the time execution finishes. This class is genuinely, if minimally, a working deep agent. Every pillar we've examined individually across this course is present and functioning together in fewer than 30 lines of Python. Production frameworks like deep agents are this identical underlying pattern, substantially expanded with far more middleware, error handling, and configuration options layered around this same essential core. It's worth understanding precisely where deep agents sits relative to its neighboring layers, because choosing the right one for a given project genuinely matters in practice. Langgraph is the lowest level layer, a general-purpose graph runtime giving you complete, granular control over agent state and execution flow, but requiring you to implement memory, planning, and delegation entirely yourself from scratch with no defaults provided. A lighter agent creation utility sits one level up, a minimal harness built on langgraph, without the planning, file system, or subagent middleware bundled in by default. Deep agents itself sits at the top as the most opinionated layer. The full harness with planning, context management, and delegation genuinely bundled and working out of the box with minimal configuration required from the developer. The practical guidance genuinely worth internalizing. Use the least opinionated layer that still solves your actual problem. A simple, well-scoped single-tool task rarely needs full deep agent machinery. A complex, open-ended, long-running task like autonomous research or substantial code-based work is exactly where these four pillars earn their real, measurable complexity cost. Let's ground this architecture in the system that originally inspired it, Claude Code. Studying what specifically made Claude Code effective at genuinely open-ended, long-running coding tasks, not just quick single-file edits, is literally how this four-pillar framework was reverse-engineered and generalized in the first place. Claude Code plans its work through an explicit to-do list precisely as described in scenes 4 and 5, rather than improvising task order turn by turn from scratch. It spawns subagents to handle isolated pieces of larger tasks, giving developers fine-grained control by allowing fully custom subagents tailored to specific workflows or code bases. And it uses the file system not merely to read and modify a project's actual source code, but explicitly as a working scratchpad, jotting down notes, findings, and intermediate reasoning that persist across an extended coding session in exactly the way described in Scene 9. The important insight here, none of these three capabilities are coding-specific in any fundamental sense, which is precisely why this same architecture generalizes cleanly to research, writing, analysis, and virtually any other complex, long-horizon domain.